Welcome to this video. Yeah, this is a new video with the Tactics Trainer from chess.com. The Tactics Trainer videos were immensely popular, so I decided to make this a regular feature. The Sunday probably will feature a Tactics Trainer video from now on, in addition to what's already on the channel. So there will be regular Sunday Blitz stuff, some instructional content, and also the Tactics Trainer. And as promised, I will do a varying level here of tactics. So I will do, I had I think 1500 last time, and I'm going up, yeah, and see what I can do. This is the 2000 level. Note that the time is already quite high here because well, I had to fix the whole, or prepare the whole recording. To be honest, this is a little bit like cheating, because while I was setting up everything, I also had a peek at the position and now can tell you the solution to this pretty much instantly. Yeah, we see that in this position here, white is also faced with a direct mating threat. Yeah, this queen h1 is a mate threat, so we don't really have any time to waste. We need to checkmate black, and we have lots of pieces in the attack. Basically all of our pieces are participating, and the mating sequence is very forced. White starts with bishop e4 check, after which there's only rook b7 as a sensible move. Now we see black's king does not have really, it doesn't have any square. Yeah, it's quite funny. We are very close, if we look at the knight, to the smothered mate thing, knight c7. And in fact, we can get a smothered mate here with a bunch of forcing moves. This is the first one, after which he only has rook takes b8. And now we need to give another rook on a7. He can only take with the bishop. And now finally we get in knight c7 checkmate. quite cute. Yeah, we had the knight on b5 all the time, but the mate square was protected multiple times. It's relatively easy because it's always just one response by black that's possible. Okay, so a nice one. I don't think we need the analysis board for that. Next one. So we're going to play white, I guess. Yeah, we're going to play white. Okay, so what do we have here? It's a position where white has sacrificed a pawn, but white has a number of things going for him. Good active pieces, strong bishop on d5, and very active pieces. The rook, things like that. So what's happening here? Yeah, we I guess need to do something on the e file. Yeah, if we look at this, those pieces are not very well coordinated, black's pieces. If you think about bishop c6 takes, bc6, rook e1, we attack the queen and the bishop on e7. Yeah, and here's queen c5 check, unfortunately, to save the day. So the question is, can we somehow improve on this this move order? If we give the check, if we play rook e1 first, yeah, he probably will play queen g5, and then bishop c6. You can give the check, go to h1. What we've gained here, we've gained a tempo. So rook e1, I think, will win a piece. I'm pretty sure about that, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, the queen has to go somewhere on the 5th rank, I guess. And now we take and remove the defender of the e7 bishop. Check, we just go to the side so that we can just safely take the bishop. Not quite sure why this is 2000. Not so difficult, really. Okay, next one. Aha, we are playing black. Okay, so what do we see in this position? Yeah, it's quite clear that we have lots of pieces pointed towards the king side. The rook on g8 is looking at the g2 pawn and at the king. And we also have this bishops pointing aggressively to the king side. Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind here is the move knight to e5. Yeah, this is sort of opening up the long diagonal, threatening knight takes f3 with winning everything. And I'm not so sure what white's reply is. Knight takes f3 is a very strong threat. And we also attack on d3. Yeah, then the bishop on d3. So let's say if after knight, that's not even possible. Yeah, knight e5 is simply winning, I think. We will win at least a piece. Note that if white plays knight to e1, knight e5, knight e1, we're going to take on g2 and play knight f3, winning the queen. So I think knight e5 should win this. I don't think there is a defense. Yeah, I guess that should be the solution. Yeah, here I can take on f3 and win this piece. Yeah, bishop takes, wins a piece. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The long diagonal is the key point. We should for this briefly look at the analysis board, simply because there's one line that I want to show. Knight e5. If white is going to play knight to e1, yeah, trying to protect g2, covering d3. In this case, black has a very effective move in capturing on g2. We can actually, it's probably both winning, but if we do this, it's much more forcing, smashing through with this nice fork here, and we have won the queen. And yeah, we are still in this huge diagonal. The huge diagonal is still in our favor. So pretty straightforward win with knight e5, typically using the strong long diagonal bishop. Okay, so the next one. Okay, so we're going to play white. Okay, black has just castled. Yeah, what are key features of this position? Let's check. We are one pawn up. Hooray! We win the endgame. Nah, I guess there's something better. Yeah, what's very clear is that this queen might play a role. This queen is unprotected, and also quite. I think I spot the solution. Also quite problematic are those two pieces on d7 and d7. Those are not protected. It's often a very useful thing to check in your own camp and in your opponent's camp what are unprotected pieces. Not simply for the fact that, okay, sometimes they're unprotected and you can just take them. That's the very simple kind. But very often in a position that has many unprotected pieces, there's something wrong. There's something off. There's not a good coordination, not some sort of harmonious team play going on. And this is one of those cases. We have three pieces unprotected by black: the knight, the bishop, and the queen. And we can use this with the move queen c6. And the big point is, if we go queen c6, yeah, think about it. The knight is attacked. What should black do? Can move the knight or protect it? Yeah, and in both cases, white has a fantastic resource. I put it on the board because I'm pretty sure that this is the solution. Knight f6 is the same thing. And now we see the big point. The queen is not protected on c2. And we have this great move that will win us a piece, because e7 now falls with check, and we take here. We even gain an exchange on top of that. So this is really nice, and it shows very much. I put up the analysis board again. It shows very much that those unprotected pieces on d7, e7 and on c2, these pieces are the key to the win here for white. They are unprotected and they're not playing together. And with exactly queen c6 we can use that. Yeah, it's a very nice motif also, the queen on c6, using this kind of opposition, yeah, this lineup on the c file so that knight e5 is possible. It's very cute. Okay, so the next one. Okay, we're playing white, and yeah, it's pretty clear we need to checkmate again. And here we have a typical case of the Arabian mate. The Arabian mate is one of my favorite checkmates. Probably the one reason why I spotted the solution basically immediately. Yeah, here white wins by this, as I mentioned, Arabian mate. What's the Arabian mate? Yeah, I'm going to put it on the board. You maybe have seen it before, but to be honest, I also after 20 more years of chess only recently learned that it's called the Arabian mate. So how is it going? White is taking on g7, check. Black has to recapture, there's really nothing else. Otherwise we play queen h6 and win immediately. So next we give the check on f6. This is now possible as we, after the sacrifice, have this square available. King h8 is the only move. And now we see that the knight on h6 is ready for capturing. Okay. And here we have a case where we don't even need the Arabian mate, to be honest. Queen takes g7 is the immediate mate. What I actually saw is, I mean, I'm not sure what it is doing now if I play queen h7. This is what I saw. But this is, of course, the direct mate. And I'm going to do this just because I want the problem solved, problem solved text. But we can go in the analysis board, and check this again. This check, black has no move if he goes to h8. Queen h6 is very simple. So he has to take with the rook. We give the check again, only one move. We take, yeah, and here there's really no alternative. Rook h7. There is queen f8 mate or rook g8 mate. And this is in fact the Arabian mate, the knight and the rook on g8 or h7 to deliver mate. I actually saw something different after bishop h7. What I saw, I didn't even see queen g7. I only saw that because this is one of those kind of favorite mates of mine. So it's useful to have your faves in chess. You see them quicker than the things that you don't really like that much. Okay, next one. Oh, it's a simple, more simplified position. Interesting. So we have an end game here basically, where black has rook and pawn against two bishops and yeah, 4 pawns against 5 pawns. So rook and pawn against two bishops. Interesting. What, however, is pretty clear that we have again a situation where where pieces are unprotected. Both bishops are not protected. So together with the king on f1, there might be possibilities to just win one of the bishops. So let's consider. What we need to do here is to look at basically all forcing moves, attacks by the rook against the bishops, against the pawn on a3, and we also have this motif of a check against the king. So let's say check, we cannot do that. c1 is protected by the bishop, but rook c1, check, king moves up, rook c2, and we win the bishop. So it's probably a combination of various of those ideas. And if we come to the conclusion that we should check those various possibilities, I think one move that what will stick out is rook c3. Rook c3 is very useful because it does a multitude of things. It attacks the bishop, it attacks the pawn, and it keeps the rook on the important c file where we have rook c1, rook c2. So rook c3 will probably win the thing. Bishop d2, we play rook c2, forking. This is the fork. Yeah, I don't know. Does a rook fork? We win one of the bishops. They're both unprotected. Rook c3, bishop f2. We can take a3. Yeah, attacking the bishop. It only has b1 and then rook a1. Another way to win this piece on a2. So I can put it on the board. This is the solution. Bishop d4. Yeah, and here we have yet another way to win the bishop. The one that I mentioned before with the 2 checks. And then we just capture on a2. Yeah, he had no way out. The bishops that are both unprotected, again, unprotected pieces are the key. Those are simply, yeah, they're not able to fight this active rook. Okay, I guess we don't need an analysis board for that. Okay, we play black here. Let's see. Yeah. It looks like there should be something on f2. Like knight h3, yeah, this looks very close to a win, if not a win. Knight h3, g takes, queen f2 check, king h1, queen f2 is mate. And if we give the check and the rook takes, yeah, then we can take on e4 because it's a back rank mate. Queen e4, rook d1 mate, so this will win. Yeah, and now not on f2. This is not leading to anything, but we can take here because it's a rook d1 mate. Yeah, okay. It actually lets us play it out. So this was relatively simple. One of those cases where we want to check the checks first, and it was clear that it should be something with the rook on the second rank. Okay, so let's see the next one. This looks like a big attack on the g file. Yeah, the question is this one of those cases where we can deliver mate with both rooks on g and h file? I guess if you imagine the whole situation with g and h file, this clutter of pieces, h5, g5 and so on removed, and rooks on g3 and h3, we will have a mate. So I think bishop h6 is the solution, because after rook takes, I mean, we were threatening bishop f8 and things like that. Now we can sacrifice the queen. The king takes, and now rook g5 for rook h3 mate, and black has no defense. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. What we briefly should check is in the analysis board that queen takes h6, which might come to mind, is less good, because now there is not forced to take on h6, and here black is just a queen up. Okay, so we want to take instead, as we had shown here, and now we threaten tons of discoveries with the bishop. So black really, yeah, rook h6 leads to a mate, but there is nothing better. Okay, the next one. Okay, it is our move, and are we really a piece down? It just looks weird that white is a piece down in this position. Okay, the solution here is very, or features a very common motif. In fact, it's a motif that I recently had in one of my Blitz games, and it's the kind of motif, once you have seen it, you get to see the solutions of those kind of problems relatively quickly. White here wins with rook takes d7. Why? Queen g4 is a move that immediately comes to mind. Mate on g7, the knight on f5, and the queen on g4 is huge to attack. However, after queen g4, black might have some sort of defense. Queen f6, for example, which gives up the bishop on d7, but it makes sure that black is not getting mated. However, if we take on d7 in this position and the queen recaptures, then queen g4 wins immediately. We threaten on g7, checkmate, and we threaten knight takes h6, winning the queen. So rook takes d7 looks very, very strong. However, if I think about this, rook d7, I mean, black might play queen to f6. How are we winning then? I really wonder if there's a piece missing here for white, like bishop on b3 or something. Rook d7, queen f6. Obviously white can take on c7, something like that, and have a good position, but it's close to winning actually. But I wonder if I maybe, is there something that I'm missing, something better? Rook d7 looks like the solution. Yeah, probably it is the solution. Yeah, I was just, yeah, okay, well this is trivial. Now I win the queen, but I was thinking queen f6, that black at least is not losing the queen. The kind of thing that needs to be remembered here for this motif is the queen needs to be unprotected here on d7, and we've got this immediate mate threat and knight h6. Knight h6, queen g7 mate, this kind of combination. What irritated me here is if we pull up the analysis board, I was thinking that black might still play queen f6. I know it does not really, this is not great, but I just thought that, okay, well, I can take c7 and probably just win, but I didn't see anything better here, like winning the queen or piece or whatever. So it's just rook c7. Okay, it was a bit irritated by this possibility. This position looks also to me like it's somehow, yeah, doctored. Yeah, like there was a, maybe there's a bishop on b3 originally, and they wanted this rook d7 idea to work. If there's a bishop on b3, queen g3 for instance wins immediately. Just much simpler. I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, so the next one. Still a very useful motif, of course. Okay, so so we have this position with white to move. Yeah, it's clear that interesting. Yeah, it's clear that it is maybe something with the e5 fork. That's one thing that comes to mind. And the second feature of this position is probably the weak back rank. I don't really see what the big deal is, to be honest. If I take on d6, rook takes e5, I'm just winning this piece. There's really no way around it. Rook d6, queen d6, it's important to play queen takes d6, rook d6, e5. First exchange the queen, then play e5, because rook d6, queen d6, e5, he has queen c7 or queen b8, and we cannot take on f6 because of this pin. Maybe this is the simple point. Yeah, now we first need to trade and then play e5. On e5 he plays queen c7, and we recognize that we have a pin and we cannot take on f6. So we have to trade first and then win the piece. So not that difficult, but sometimes easy to miss those little things. Okay, the next one. Oh wow. That's a funny position. We are on a king hunt here. Black is, what are we? We're down one piece, right? Yeah, we are down one piece, and we definitely want to checkmate. White here. Okay. So we need to check the checks. Let's see. How do we win this as quickly as possible? Yeah, we basically only have queen and bishop to attack. Maybe sometimes a pawn move can be a resource as well, like g5. But okay, what do we need to check first? I think the first move to check is queen f2. Yeah, I think we need to check this first. If we take with the queen, he cannot play. We start with that king g5. There's queen f5 check, king h4, queen g4 mate. If he goes to, let's say, yeah, if he goes to e5, we just take the rook. So there's king e4 maybe. After king e4, yeah, we at least have bishop f5 check, king d4. Oh, we don't have queen d2. Okay, so this is not really enough. So after king e4, what else do we have? We can take c2 and b2, but is this enough? Not sure. Queen f2, king e4. It really looks like we should win there with a checkmate or something. Bishop f5 check. And king d4. That really looks very, very problematic, but I don't see a win. Don't see it at the moment. Is there some way to insert a move? Quite often this is the solution, like g5 check, for example. This can also be a point, but I'm not sure if he maybe can just take with the king. Yeah, queen f2 really looks very simple, but what about queen d5? Yeah, we can also check this move. Queen d5. It threatens queen f5 mate, so it's not like he has many moves against it. And we're threatening g5 check, bishop g5, queen f5 check, winning a piece. That's not bad. If we check queen d5, rook e5, yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, queen d5 is the right move, with queen f5 check being the threat. And there's also the threat of maybe it can. Also the threat of queen d4, yeah, queen d4, and queen b2, this kind of thing. I think queen d5 should win this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't want to sit there like 5 minutes to calculate this stuff. I think it should win. It's wrong. Okay, yeah, this was a slight gamble because I didn't want to look through it at the end. I was thinking that this should win. Why is it not winning? Interesting question. If we pull up the analysis board, let's check. Why is it not winning? Yeah, the solution is the check and yeah, taking on b2. I mean, I saw that, but I was thinking that queen d5 also wins. Why isn't this winning? I mean, it looks like it should win. Queen d5. Not quite clear to me. What is white's defense? Maybe rook d3. I didn't see that one. Yeah, that's a problem. This frees e3, yeah. See, I did a very sloppy job in calculating this stuff. But still I don't understand. Am I not winning e7? Okay, but okay, if I win e7, this is the deal. This is the deal. I give this check, king here, and yeah, I might win e7, but I'm not winning the game probably. Something. If we just look at this, this is nice, but I'm not mating. I'm not mating white anymore. Yeah, okay, this is so sloppy. So queen f2 is the right solution after king e4. I just take and take on b2. Yeah, well, I sort of saw that, but somehow didn't follow up on it. I thought queen d5, I didn't see rook d3 at all. Okay, so the next one. Okay, so black to move. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, the long diagonal quite obviously is the important thing here. We have equal material, right? Well, black is a pawn up even. Okay, but we don't have, we didn't sacrifice a piece or anything. So what we want to check is the various sacrifices or attacks on the long diagonal. Something that will work in many cases here is knight e2 check, king h1, queen takes f3, which is nice. Gf, bishop f3 checkmate. Yeah, that's a direct mate. But the problem is knight e2 check, king h1, queen f3. There's rook d7 check, white as a counterplay, and all of a sudden I think we get checkmated with the rook on the 7th combined with the queen. So we have to watch out for the rook coming to d7. So I think the solution should be queen takes f3, because gf, knight f3 check, king moves, knight takes h4 check, and we have won a piece. So I think this is just a win. I don't really see how white should defend here. Yeah, so we have won this piece. Yeah, it's we should briefly check. I mentioned it already, why the alternative. Okay, we should need to put it white's move. This looks nice and will very often win. This motif, I mean. Yeah, mate, but here white has this counterplay, and unfortunately this is even winning. Yeah, we have no, he also has queen f6, so if we go here, yeah, queen f6 or queen h6, it's the same deal. So we have just pushed the suicide button. So now queen takes f3 is the real solution. Okay, next one. Okay, so black is a piece up, that's nice, but white has 4 pawns, so it's nothing that we can simply win in the end game. Fortunately, we have an attack with all our pieces. I'm just briefly thinking, is this a duel with 2 solutions? Okay, it's really it doesn't matter if you see one solution. You should just do it. You can just take here, yeah, and knight e3 winning the queen. So that's a little bit more than just a piece. What I wondered is if we just briefly, it's not really important because the solution is really straightforward. After h3, I was briefly wondering if this is also winning. It's really academical because, well, if you have one solution, it's good enough. But probably it does win. Yeah, it at least it wins this rook, I think. Yeah, as we attack quite lots of stuff, so he needs to take, I think, and then we take f1. And then we play with the rook against 4 pawns. Probably winning, but the other thing is just like, just over. Yeah, and we should always do that. So let's do a final one for this session. Okay, we are playing black and white has a ton of pawns. Yeah, those kind of positions are always super tricky. Let's see. If we take, wait. Is this really a problem? I mean, the question is, the knight is hanging and the pawn on d7 is hanging. We can take the pawn if we want. Play queens. If you play king c4, king f4, c6, and this is dangerous. What I'm wondering is if we take f4, he plays c6, king e5, c7, rook d7 is a check, and king e5 is also threatening to go all the way back there. Okay. I really wonder. And if king f4, king c4, rook d7 would be a transposition. But I think the key is that here, if we take on f4 now, I think we can save on the rook d7 move. King e5, king c4, king e5, c6, king d6, king b5, king c7 will win. And king f4, king c4, king e5, king b5, king d. Yeah, this will also win. I think the key is we need to take first. We take on d7, king c4. You get the c6 tempo. So I think we need to take first. And now this is the easier line. I think here king e5 just wins as c7, rook d7 is with check, and we are just in time to catch the pawns. Yeah, I think the other line was, I think, more critical in a way. If we put it on this analysis board, white was taking, we take on f4, and here I was thinking that instead of c6, king c4 is a bit more critical. Yeah, the analysis here gives rook d7, but if rook d7, then we can also play this on the first move. I really don't see then. King e3 is not as clear. Wow. Okay. That's surprising. But I think that this is also winning. Why isn't this winning? I think it's winning as well. Is this in the notes here? King e5. So c6, we can briefly analyze ourselves. c6, king d6, king here. We really should win with king c7. Yeah, and we will start to pick up pawns now. I think check on b8, and then we take b3. Yeah, this is a win. So the question is something else. King b5. Thought this also should win with rook b8 check coming. Yeah, I think this also wins, but it's probably the case that if we go back just for a moment, oops, I'm sorry, takes, and here king c4, probably this also wins if we check it. I keep screwing this up. So rook d7. I was thinking that c6 maybe is a bit more tricky. Yeah, but black's king is really coming back. Yeah. I can just go back with the king. That's stupid. I can go on the 7th really. King b5, king e5, king b6, king d6. Okay, this is a pretty simple win. Okay, so couple of nice positions to solve. I hope you enjoyed it. I screwed one up really badly where I missed this rook d3 resource. Probably you found that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm back with another Tactics Trainer session next week. Thanks for watching.